Welcome back to part two. This is Kenlin. This is the Astro and Energy Report for the week of the 25th of August through the 1st of September. And I'm doing this in two parts so that we really could give justice to those T squares, and particularly the mutable one that's still in play. And as I was saying on that video, we are like, we've hit the top of the wave and we've crested it. And now we're going to ride it in. And that, thank the goddess, we're riding it in. That's a very long arc, though, of that energy, because we're going to have another wave, and then we're really going to ride it in. So see that last video. I also did a video before that on the Saturn-Jupiter square. Now we get to move to Venus. And I think this is where for us, because Venus is our planet of our embodiment. She rules our love life, our relationships, like the food we eat, the beauty we absorb, our own beauty. And she's also the ruler of our money, because those are the things that we need to have all the other things. So she's very personal to us, and she has been hammered as we have been hammered, and now she's set to rise. And I love this analogy. And so I'm going to presence what's happening in the cosmos and take it on for yourself, because it's a very juicy week for money, for love. It's not just sparkle, it's like fireworks. It's got juice to it. It's got spice to it. It's got just enough gravitas, thanks to Pluto, to make it really good. So it's not like too light and sugary. You know what I mean? So Venus is moving from Virgo into Libra. And that's happening, I believe, on the 29th of August. That comes after this Mercury retrograde. Starts to move direct. So Mercury is behind the sun in Leo. The sun is in Virgo. Mercury will catch up, getting the codes, then stationing and turning direct. And that's when we start to get the information in our minds. And then we have Venus, who's been in this mutable T square, like opposed by Mars, the masculine, opposed by the Saturn Jupiter. It's just not been fun. And now she's coming through, hitting Neptune, 29-degree Virgo, 29 degrees with Neptune in an opposition. And I believe there's some codes that are getting exchanged, because Neptune is the signature of universal love, the outer planet that stands for the higher octave of love. Could also be about escapism and, drugs and addiction and all kinds of shit like that. But the higher octave of Neptune is that the world of oneness. It's a Piscean experience. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So we have that happening. And then let's go to let's go to Venus. Venus is the lower octave of love, the personal love, how we experience it romantically, interpersonally, relationally. It's not unconditional love. The love of this 3D world is conditional. You can't just fuck me over. You can't violate my boundaries. You can't cheat on me. You can't abuse me. It's not unconditional. That's not mature love. Mature love says, no, there are rules of how we get to love each other. There are standards. There are ways of being. And then the Neptune octave is just the higher frequency that, like, if you imagine popping up a level and you take on the divine, you can see that we're all just children doing our thing. And then you have this deep love for everyone, even the perpetrator, everyone, because you just see through the whole game. And so that conversation is happening, which is beautiful, because it can grow up our experience of love. And I think that's what's been happening. And when she moves into Libra, So she goes from 29 degrees of that sign before, Virgo, moves into Libra, 0 degrees. What happens is that she makes a communication with Pluto, Pluto 0 degrees Aquarius. And I love this because that's where she gets energized. That's where she gets like, okay, she's empowered. Pluto, she's been through her death and her rebirth many times. And Pluto is giving her this mythic power, this nod, like, okay, queen, okay, sovereign queen, you are here to shine. You rise and take that on for yourself. Sovereign queen, you are here to rise. You are here to shine. And so in that Libra mansion, we can unpack, what does that mean? Well, it's ruled by Venus. So she's very happy there. And Libra has been the sign of relationship, and it is in the South Node. So remember, we've talked about this. Even last week, I talked about North Node in Aries and why there's so many breakups right now. And what are we learning? South Node, what's passed behind us is that codependency, the relationship contracts that we had before. Like a friend of mine was saying that there's an older couple, and what was getting revealed inside their relationship was that there was such intense jealousy happening on the part of the woman that she was saying, I don't want you to talk to any other woman, basically, without me knowing and approving and things like that. And that kind of constriction, and I mean, just talk, there's clear agreements about fidelity and what's good and not, what's appropriate, not appropriate inside of that relationship. But it was like, no, the extreme, just talk, just have friendships. And that person was feeling like, that's not okay with me. And then on the part of the woman, she was really getting in touch with her power. She had lost her power. She had closed off parts of herself and her body to stay protected and to also not feel some pain from the past. And so this energy is meant to blow all of that open because it's actually gracious. It's gracious. I know it's hard, and it's gracious because you can't control your partner like that. You can't say, I'm going to shut down the world. I don't even want you to fuck the world. I'm going to shut you down. And we're going to just, stay in our house and stay with each other. You can't suck the oxygen out of the room. Like, you can't do that. You can't deprive one another of nourishment. That doesn't mean, again, that you don't have boundaries and agreements, co-created agreements. So I see this energy just blowing that shit up. Like, no, because it's doing two things. It's saying, look, you have a pain, sister, that you have to deal with. You cannot die with that pain. You cannot. That's just not doing justice to all the work that you've done on this planet. You're ready to go there. And then for the husband in this case, it was like, you get to be free. You cannot enslave yourself to someone else's emotional matrix. And you can feel and exercise love. Now, I'm not here to tell people how they are going to live their lives and all that. There's so much complexity to relationships and lives. Yet those are examples of old agreements we've made. We made old ones. Society made old ones. Like in some countries, you stay married and it's okay for people to play around. Those are not talked about agreements. It's just unwritten agreements. All that stuff is coming up there. It's expired because we want a more conscious relationship, and we can invent our relationship any way we want. any way we want. A relationship is agreements between two people. That's what makes it workable. That's what creates harmony. And they could be any agreements, just as long as the two people are in agreement about it, about where they are, and they choose to live in gray areas, but maybe they have monthly meetings and they check in. Anyway, South Node Libra is blowing that stuff up so that we could have new evolutionary relationships, which require conversation. It requires hard conversation. It requires not outsourcing your sense of self and your identity. It's like, how do I play big and be in relationship? Because we naturally, Joseph Campbell said this, that relationship is a narrowing. And when you break up, you start to feel like you can breathe because you've narrowed yourself. And there's nothing wrong with narrowing, but we don't always want to live in that narrow space. So the breath is like this, as our agreements, and staying in pace with who we're becoming is part of a ninja move of relationships. So Venus moving into Libra is in her power around her autonomy. She's no longer the people pleaser. That stuff is just not interesting to her anymore. It's not like she even has to try. It's just sloughed off like, ugh, why would I want to do that? It doesn't serve anyone. It's just bullshit. It doesn't serve. I'd rather say the hard thing and risk disappointing someone. But then they have contact with the truth and with who I really am. And then if you stay in that pressure, like I said last week, stay in that pressure long enough, maybe a transcendent third comes through and you go, hey, you know what? How about if we make this agreement? Would you be able to do that? What do you think about that? Wow, that's genius. So many things are genius. One of my favorite books from like 25 years ago is a book called Passionate Marriage from David Schnarch. He's a sex therapist, and I don't know if he still has a practice, but he wrote a couple books. And one of his things that he said is that couples have the best sex after they tell the truth, because he's like, the truth is hot. And that's, my friends, where we are going this week. So the end of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have this like Plutonian mythic quality infusing Venus, the archetype of love and money and our materiality, opening up new doors for us. So how are you going to play? What conversations are you going to be in? What do you want? What's true for you? Do you dare say it? Mercury's going to help you out by being direct, and more things are coming into your conscious awareness. And all that pressure you've been sitting in, as this T-square breathes and opens, and by mid-September, we're going to be in a new place. There's new things to talk about starting September 1. Lots going on. We have just started the adventure to the end of the year. Intense, lots of cool stuff. But here we are. Let's savor the moment of our rising. The divine feminine has risen. She knows who she is. She is confident. She is ready. She can do this. She can lead us into the future of what whole, beautiful, win-win relationships are really all about. Let's take that on.